The movie starts in the near future. Nathaniel, the CEO of Genesis, gives a speech about launching a mission to colonize Mars. He tells the crowd that Earth's resources are running out, so humanity needs to find a new home elsewhere. The Magellan 61 will travel to Mars with 6 astronauts, not just to visit, but to live there and become the first citizens of Mars. The crowd cheers wildly at his speech. The 6 astronauts, led by Sarah Elliott, go on stage and answer a few questions from the audience about the 4-year journey. Sarah shares their excitement and calls it an honor to be part of the mission. Next, the 6 astronauts take off on their journey into space. They successfully dock with their transport vehicle in space and begin their trip to Mars. 2 months later, Sarah starts vomiting into a plastic bag. The other astronauts grow concerned and eventually realize that she is pregnant. This creates tension among the committee on Earth. They try to come up with solutions, but they cannot find anything that works. They worry about the baby's health and the consequences for the mission. The board is outraged but remains silent until the baby is born. Next, the crew lands on Mars, and on the due date, Sarah gives birth to a baby boy on Mars. She holds him and cries tears of happiness, but then she suddenly collapses and dies. Nathaniel watches the scene from his car's screen as the astronauts try to save Sarah but fail. He steps out of the car and breaks down in tears. Later, Nathaniel, Tom, the Genesis director, and a few experts meet to discuss what to do with the baby. They conclude that the baby cannot survive the trip back to Earth because he will not be able to adjust to Earth's gravity. His heart will be too large and his bones will be weak. And if the news about the baby gets out, it will destroy the company and leave the child stranded in outer space. Nathaniel suggests that they should face the situation and admit the truth. He offers to personally travel to Mars. The others strongly disagree because Nathaniel was recently diagnosed with hydrocephalus, a congenital brain condition that could lead to complications from increased pressure in his brain. To avoid a public relations disaster, they decide to keep the child's existence a secret. 16 years later, Gardner, the baby born on Mars, has grown into an inquisitive and intelligent boy. He has only met 14 people in his entire life. One day, while trying to learn more about his mother, Sarah, Gardner hacks into Centaur, a robot he helped build, to gain access to the spaceship's storage. He retrieves some of his mother's belongings, including a wedding ring and a USB drive. He plays a video on the USB drive showing Sarah with a man at a beach house. Gardner believes that the man is his father and becomes determined to find him. After that, Gardner goes to his daily class with astronaut Kendra Windham, who has become a mother figure to him. Next, Gardner logs into an internet chat room and talks to Tulsa, a street-smart girl from Colorado who constantly moves between foster homes. They form a close friendship. Gardner tells her that he is confined to a penthouse due to a disease, but Tulsa mocks him and says she does not believe his story. Gardner promises to visit her one day. Later, Tulsa rides home from school on her motorcycle and finds her foster father, Chuck, asleep on the sofa. She wakes him up when she remembers that a sandstorm is about to hit. Meanwhile, Gardner bypasses security using a magnetic monitor inside his heart and sneaks out of the ship for a drive. He then visits his mother's grave and starts driving fast but loses control and crashes. The vehicle flips over and his oxygen tube disconnects. Kendra arrives just in time to save him. After they return to the ship, Kendra scolds Gardner, but he brushes her off, saying she wouldn't understand. Later, they reconcile after she tells him that there is nothing in his mother's grave because her ashes are spread across the Pacific Ocean. Next, Kendra Video calls Nathaniel and Tom to tell them about Gardner's extraordinary intelligence. She begs them to let him return to Earth. Nathaniel refuses, explaining that Gardner would need to undergo a dangerous surgery to increase his bone density and then train to adjust to Earth's atmospheric pressure. Despite the risks, Gardner goes through with the surgery. After recovering and training, Gardner boards a space shuttle to Earth with Kendra and some other astronauts. Gardner tells Tulsa that he is finally going to meet her. On the day of the space shuttle's arrival, Nathaniel discovers that Gardner is on board. He angrily confronts Tom, who had kept this from him. Despite his anger, Nathaniel visits Gardner, who is quarantined at NASA while undergoing medical tests to determine if he can survive on Earth. During the visit, Nathaniel and Gardner talk about their favorite things about their own planets. After a visit from Kendra, Gardner learns that they need to do more tests on him to see if he can survive on Earth. He gets upset and decides to run away. He stages an escape, steals clothes from a locker, and loads himself on the back of a truck to find Tulsa. On his way to Tulsa, Gardner experiences Earth for the first time. He narrowly avoids getting hit by a car, talks to strangers, and enjoys the rain. He feels alive for the first time. While walking, he meets a man named Waldo, and they trade sunglasses. Waldo shows him where to catch a bus to Colorado. Gardner takes the bus to Colorado. Meanwhile, Nathaniel and Kendra are searching for him. They discover information about Tulsa and learn that she has lived in 5 foster homes over the past 12 years. Next, Gardner arrives at Tulsa's high school. He sees Tulsa standing by her locker in the hallway and greets her. Tulsa slaps him and asks why he ghosted her. Gardner tells her that he was on a trip, but Tulsa doesn't believe that someone on a trip can't at least send a text or make a call. Gardner tells her it was a very specific type of travel and that he would never abandon her. He explains that he went through a lot just to see her. Tulsa says she has to go to class and tells him not to move. During her class, Gardner walks in. The teacher assumes he is a transfer student and lets him sit. When the teacher asks a question, Gardner answers it correctly and receives applause from the class. Then Gardner stands up and sets off the emergency wash, soaking himself with water. After class, Tulsa starts asking Gardner about the surgery and where he's from. Gardner tells her that he's actually from Mars, but Tulsa laughs. Gardner shows her a photo of his mother with a man and tells her about Sarah. He asks Tulsa to help him find his father. Tulsa agrees and takes him to her house on her motorcycle. Gardner enjoys the ride, experiencing freedom for the first time. When Tulsa and Gardner arrive at her house, Nathaniel and Kendra show up too. They beg Gardner to come with them, but Gardner insists that he wants to find his father because he's all he has. Kendra tells him that he has her, but Gardner reminds her that she never wanted children and that he is sorry she had to raise him. Feeling upset, Gardner runs towards the farm chased by Kendra and Nathaniel. As he keeps running, Tulsa arrives, flying the crop duster that her foster dad owes. Gardner jumps in, and they fly away together, leaving Nathaniel and Kendra behind on the ground. Gardner enjoys the view from above as he feels more alive than ever. However, after a while, the crop duster begins to run out of fuel while still in the air. Despite the difficulty, Tulsa manages to crash land the crop duster, but it crashes into an old abandoned barn and bursts into flames. Kendra and Nathaniel, who were following them on their helicopter, see the accident and assume that Gardner didn't survive. After surviving the crash, Tulsa and Gardner run away. The search team arrives, finds no bodies, and realizes that Gardner and Tulsa have escaped. Nathaniel then angrily shouts at Kendra, blaming her for not stopping Gardner from contacting the outside world while he was still on Mars. Kendra responds by asking him where he was the whole time, and leaves him there. Next, Tulsa and Gardner manage to steal a car and drive to get off the grid. As they drive, Tulsa asks Gardner a series of questions about Nathaniel, Kendra, and East Texas. She gets upset when Gardner keeps saying he's from Mars and tells him to get out. Gardner agrees to leave the car, but Tulsa shouts at him, saying she doesn't like being lied to. Gardner tries to explain that he's not lying and that just because people have lied to her doesn't mean he's lying to her. He apologizes for the lies people have told her and for the hurt they cause. They both get back in the car and continue driving. Later, Tulsa and Gardner arrive at a diner where they use a stranger's tablet to help search for Gardner's father. They search for clues using the words on the wedding ring that Gardner found. They discover a shaman named Nika who lives in Arizona and who had married Gardner's parents, thinking the ring was a wedding ring. However, just as they start to make progress, local cops approach the diner. Gardner and Tulsa quickly run out the back before they are recognized and captured. Next, Nathaniel and Kendra are searching for teenagers who fit Gardner's profile and find them, but they soon realize that the people they find are not Gardner and Tulsa. Then Nathaniel begins to lose his composure. Kendra tries to calm him down, but he tells her that he gave up years ago because he had never seen Gardner's face. Now that he has met the boy, he can't shake off the guilt he feels for deciding to raise him on Mars. Nathaniel says he needs to make things right, but just then, Kendra's phone rings. She's told that Gardner's blood has elevated levels of troponin, which is not a good sign. Nathaniel explains to Kendra that this means Gardner is suffering from an enlarged heart and his heart cannot handle Earth's atmosphere. He urges her that Gardner must be returned to Mars immediately if he is to survive, saying that Gardner is running out of time, and they need to find him fast. Meanwhile, Tulsa and Gardner are enjoying their road trip. They arrive at a store to buy some clothes. After changing in the bathroom, Gardner sees Tulsa playing the keyboard, now wearing a new blue dress. She stops playing when she sees him, and Gardner tells her she looks beautiful. They leave the store together with their sleeping bags. The search for Gardner resumes with increased intensity, and the authorities discover CCTV footage of Gardner and Tulsa in a supermarket parking lot. On the road, Gardner is behind the wheel as Tulsa teaches him how to drive. He tells her that she is beautiful, which surprises her with his straightforwardness. That night, they camp out under the stars, where they share a kiss and get intimate. The next morning, they are discovered by a follower of Shaman Nika, who brings them to him. Nika agrees to help them, but Gardner's nose starts to bleed, a fact he hides from Tulsa. Meanwhile, Tulsa accesses a record to find the location of the beach house, which is in New California. Before they set off on their journey, they make a detour to Las Vegas. Gardner's nose starts to bleed again, and he collapses. They rush him to a hospital for emergency surgery. Afterward, Tulsa tells Gardner that she now believes he was born on Mars, but she also says she has to leave him at the hospital. Foster care will soon come to take him, and she knows he is too sick to continue their journey. Gardner admits that he knows he won't survive much longer on Earth, and that all he wants is to meet his father before his last breath. Tulsa finally gives in and helps him escape. They steal a car and drive to the beach house to meet Gardner's father. By the time foster care and the police arrive at the hospital, Gardner and Tulsa are nowhere to be found. Tulsa drives to the beach house where they meet the man from the video. Gardner tells him that he's Sarah's son and that she died giving birth to him. The man doesn't believe him, claiming that she died from a pressure suit failure. Gardner insists that he is her son, but the man denies this and threatens to call the police. Tulsa takes the phone from him and confronts the man, but he insists that he can't be Gardner's father because he is Sarah's brother. When Tulsa turns to look for Gardner, she finds that he is missing. She starts shouting and searching for him, eventually finding him at the beach. Gardner tells Tulsa that this is where he wants to die before collapsing. Tulsa tries to drag him to the shore, but he's too heavy for her. Just as she's struggling, Nathaniel and Kendra arrive in time to save him. Nathaniel performs CPR, and Gardner wakes up, asking him about his mother and what she was like. Nathaniel tells him that she was fearless and kind, and that it was her death that made him give up. He admits that he loved her, tears filling his eyes. Gardner then tells Nathaniel that he is his father, and Nathaniel finally admits the truth. Just then, help arrives, and they quickly take Gardner to NASA's spacecraft to remove him from Earth's gravity. Nathaniel takes control of the aircraft and successfully pilots it into space. Tulsa tries to wake Gardner, and he eventually comes to. As they float in the spacecraft, Gardner takes off his seatbelt, and Tulsa tells him that he has to go back to Mars. They share a kiss, declaring their love for each other. Kendra asks Nathaniel if he's okay, and he nods quietly. Soon, Gardner walks to board a space shuttle to Mars. Tulsa arrives, and they have an emotional farewell. Kendra, who stays on Earth, buys a ranch house and asks Tulsa to come live with her. Tulsa agrees and eventually joins Kendra's youth astronaut training program. Back on Mars, Nathaniel has joined Gardner to permanently live with him, and multiple colonies have been formed. Both of them have found what they wanted, and Gardner is patiently waiting for Tulsa's arrival.